I'd just like to lay out what I'm going to do for you today. The first thing I'm going to present is my point of the Renaissance man, who would be the superhero you could become. Next is the point of a little bit of refutation of what side government has put out today. And then finally, I'm going to rebuild my partner's points and show why they still stand. So first, onto a Renaissance man. So you'd be a superhero. I mean, you can't die and you heal instantaneously. There's another superhero who can do that, and he's called Wolverine, and he's super cool. So, I mean, if you have the ability to literally become a comic book superhero, take it. Okay, so there's a woman, and she's like, look, there's a baby, and it's surrounded by a ring of fire. If only we had some sort of man who could walk through the fire and live, and then save the baby. Well, now you can. You can save the baby. Think of all the burning orphanages that can be cleared out in time. Think of all the flippers that can be rescued from the evil SeaWorld by your invincible superhero Renaissance man. And because you have all the time in the world, you could learn how to play like the violin, and you could be super smart. So you could like teach kids in school, and then when the school's on fire, you could save them after getting So clearly, if you have a chance of becoming this completely awesome, you should take it. So now on to a little bit of refutation. So a point that a big theme that's been running through side government's cases, this idea of the futility of life if it's not planned. And here on the side opposition, we'd like to counter that by saying, well, if you're bored doing something, then do something else. The universe is huge. In the analogy they brought up, if you have infinite chocolate bars, well, then eventually you get tired of chocolate. And our response would be, then stop eating chocolate. Like, there's other stuff to do. The universe is infinitely large. There are infinite things to do. I mean, if you get tired of becoming a scientist, then learn to play the guitar and become an awesome, rock star. And when you're tired of that, well, then you can become a film actor. When you're tired of that, you could go back to becoming a scientist. And then become a doctor, and then become a politician. You have all the time in the universe to do everything you could ever think of. And when you ever get tired of something, well, then you can move on to something else. And when our son dies, well, that's fine, because there are other people somewhere else out in the universe, some other species out there that you can interact with them. No matter what happens, there is always another experience you could do. When you get tired of living here, you could move to Mongolia. When you get tired of living there, you could move out to Russia. There's always something to be doing, and there's never a dull moment when you can live forever.
It doesn't matter that you have opportunities. What about the fact that you're going to be losing loved ones and all those important things that are...
Thank you. I'd actually like to address this point next. So here's the thing. Just because you live forever, it doesn't mean time moves any faster. I mean, you're still, even if you're living for millions and millions of years, 80 years is still a long time. And 80 years is a long time to live. It's enough time to get to know somebody and be able to live with them. And so just because you're meeting a ton of these people, it doesn't mean that they're simply becoming irrelevant to you or that they're becoming placeholders. They can still take a relevant place in your life, and they can still be important to you, even if you've known, even if you get to know a lot of people over a long period of time. You're still spending a long time with these people, and you're still getting to know them, and you can still know people in an intimate and deep connection with them. So now on to the next point of the Prometheus conundrum. And to this, I'd like to say, well, yeah, okay, you get to heal really fast, and so I guess you get hurt a lot. But again, on the other hand, that makes you Wolverine, and that's really awesome. And so I really think the point of somehow by making you invincible, that's a bad thing. I don't really understand that. I mean, if you could heal super fast and just save people who couldn't, I think that's something you should take. And again, that fits into our theme of your duty to society to become a hero. I mean, if you have the opportunity to become a superhero and to save people who otherwise wouldn't be able to save, to do things that other people wouldn't be able to do, you have an obligation to take that. You have an obligation to help other people through this superpower. And now, finally, I'd like to, not finally, but next I'd like to review some of the points for the second speaker for government. And this is the idea that you inevitably become corrupt. And here on the side opposition, we couldn't agree more. The reason you wouldn't become corrupt is because, well, what would corrupt you? I mean, here's the thing. If you're living forever and you become a heroin addict, I mean, that makes you a heroin addict forever. So you wouldn't want to become a heroin addict because then you'd be one forever and ever. but you seem to disagree.
Yes, in answer to your question, well, would this constant showering of fame and affection and idolization corrupt your mind and make you think you were better than others?
So here's the thing. Let's look at a lot of authors, right, who have had works that have been published. Well, they become recluses, and they live perfectly fine, happy lives. I mean, just because you're a superhero, just because you can live forever, just because you're an amazing scientist, rock star, film actor, doesn't mean that you inevitably become corrupt. There are tons of people who are famous and are down-to-earth human beings. And we see that just because you are famous doesn't mean you inevitably succumb to snorting crack off of strippers in Mexico. That's not the inevitable conclusion of becoming immortal. And so now I'd like to rebuild some of my partner's points, specifically that of scientific advancements and other advancements in other fields. And here's what government said, well, if you can do everything, there's no motivation. And here on side opposition, they say, well, if you're living for millions and millions and millions of years, you gotta have a hobby. And then when you're done with that hobby, find another hobby. And so the thing is, otherwise you get bored. And when people are bored, they do amazing things. Like, I'm pretty sure Isaac Newton, the reason he discovered a lot of things wasn't because he just liked being smart. The reason he discovered a lot of stuff was because he could. And if you're immortal, if you have the ability to do whatever you want, if you have the ability to do anything your mind could possibly dream of, well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you become incredibly smart? Why wouldn't you become a famous film actor? Why wouldn't you go off and become a diplomat to an alien species? I mean, there are so many incredible opportunities. At least one of them would have to appeal to you. At least one of them would make you want to spend time interacting and developing the human race as a whole. So, what have I said today? So the first thing I talked about was the idea that you become a superhero, similar to Wolverine, and that'd be really awesome. The next I talked about how this idea that life is futile if it's not finite is false, because there's so many different experiences out there. And because my points of my partner still stand, I'm proud to refuse.
Thank you very much. I now invite the Leader of the Opposition to sum up and close the case for side out.